Yeah. Hair flip. Yeah, I'm a badass bitch. I don't like it. Hair flip. Yeah. Oh my god. So you guys should be happy. Oh my goodness. Hair flip. But anyways, hair flip. And hair flipping on your toes. Hi.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to your boy SeanDavieWay. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing and hitting that bell so that you can be notified of all of our future content. If you have not done that already, make sure you do. Today we're getting into Russell Simmons. He has a lot of allegations and accusations against him. Most of them has been swept under the rug, and Russell does his darndest to make sure that he does not speak on these things publicly. So without holding you any further, let's get right into surviving Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons. Russell Wendell Simmons, born October 4th, 1957, is an American entrepreneur, record executive, and a writer. He co-founded the hip-hop label Def Jam Recordings and created the clothing fashion lines Phat Farm and Tantris. Simmons' net worth was estimated at $340 million in 2011. Simmons was accused of sexual misconduct and assault in 2017 and stepped down from his positions in the Def Jam Recordings and other companies as a result of these allegations. In 2018, it was reported that Simmons had moved to Bali, Indonesia, where there is no extradition treaty to the U.S. Russell Wendell Simmons was born in Hollis neighborhood of New York City's Queens borough on October 4th, 1957. His father was a public school administrator and his mother was a park administrator for New York City's Parks and Recreation Department. His brothers are painter Daniel Simmons Jr. and Joseph Simmons, better known as Rev Run of Run DMC. In 1975, after graduating from August Martin High School, Simmons briefly attended the City College of New York in Harlem, where he met a young DJ b-boy, Kurt Walker, who influenced him to participate in the hip-hop phenomenon. Upon hearing Eddie perform in Harlem in 1977, Simmons knew that hip-hop would be his career. Simmons stated, "Hearing Chiba in 77 made me feel like I had just witnessed the invention of the wheel." Simmons co-founded Def Comedy Jam in 1984 with Rick Rubin, who sold his share of the company for $120 million to Universal Music Group in 1996. In 1985, Simmons co-produced and appeared in the film Crush Groove. Simmons' company, Rush Communications Inc., includes over 10 businesses and 3 nonprofits. Simmons, with his partner Stan Lathan, has produced television hits like HBO's Def Comedy Jam and Def Poetry Jam, and currently has a development deal with HBO. In 1996, Simmons co-produced the hit film The Nutty Professor, starring Eddie Murphy. And in 1997, Simmons co-produced the film Def Jam's How to Be a Player, starring Bill Bellamy. In 2003, Simmons co-founded RushCard, a prepaid debit provider. In 1992, Simmons launched the clothing line Phat Fashions, LLC, using the Phat Farm and Baby Phat labels. When Simmons first created Phat Fashions, LLC, the clothing line was sold in a shop in Soho district of Manhattan. Simmons' connections with well-known rap artists helped to promote the clothing line to a wide audience. The influence of designers such as Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger gave the line a classic look and feel. Fast fashions encompassed hip-hop clothing for women and children, as well as men, and grew into a lifestyle brand with addition of jewelry, perfume, and other merchandise. Fast Fashions LLC sold merchandise in 2 stores in New York and in Montreal, as well as online at www.fatfarm.com. In addition, the clothing line was carried by some 3,000 retailers in the United States. In 2004, Simmons sold Phat Farm and Baby Phat to Kelwood Company for $140 million. Simmons and model Kimora Lee met in November 1992. They married on December 20th, 1998. They have 2 children, Ming Lee, born 2000, and Aoki Lee, born 2002. Russell Simmons' sexual assault allegations, a timeline of everything that's happened and all the women that have come forward. The music mogul helped define hip-hop, but after a spat of women accused him of sexual harassment and RAPE last fall, his legacy may be changing. Since November 2017, hip-hop icon and business mogul Russell Simmons has been accused of more than a dozen cases of SA and S misconduct. Simmons has responded by admitting inappropriate conduct in some instances, apologizing for the instances and thoughtlessness in my relationships with women, stepping away from his business interests and converting his studio from yogic science into a nonprofit center of learning and healing. But at the same time, he has disputed the allegations of non-consensual sexual interactions. His quote, "I vehemently deny all these allegations," he told the New York Times after the paper published the accounts of 4 women, 3 of whom alleged that they were RAPED'd by Simmons. "These horrific allegations have shocked me to my core, and all my relationships have been consensual." Simmons also denied all the allegations against him to Rolling Stone. There are a lot of recent allegations against Russell Simmons, but let's keep it real. These allegations started in the early 1980s. So we're not going to make it seem like he just started doing these things. It's no different than Bill Cosby. These men have been doing these things for a very long time. The more money you have, the more you get away with, which is a shame. So let's get into when all of this started. In the early 80s, Russell Simmons was already a powerful figure in the emerging rap industry. He worked as a promoter, managed several budding hip-hop acts, including Run DMC, Houdini, and Curtis Blow, and also did some production work at the time. He was already established in the music business, Rick Rubin explained in a 2011 interview with NPR. Even then, he was the face of hip-hop. Even before Def Jam, he was the face of hip-hop. It's true. If you had a club and you wanted to hire a hip-hop artist, you called Russell, and he would get you the hip-hop artist. Or if you had a record company and there was a hip-hop artist you were interested in signing, you'd call Russell. 1983. Simmons allegedly RAPED'd Sherry Hines. Sherry Hines was a member of the rap group Mercedes Ladies, so she had met Simmons as a fellow participant in the hip-hop scene. In a December interview with Los Angeles Times, she alleged that she ran into Simmons at a club where he invited her to visit his nearby office. When she stopped by, she said he pinned her down and RAPED'd her. She later used this alleged incident as the basis for a RAPE scene in her 2008 novel, Mercedes Ladies. Her quote, "I felt embarrassed, I felt used and worthless," Hines told Meg Kelly. "The way I felt at the time was, I can't believe this man just violated me like I was nothing." Now, everyone doesn't know who Sherry Hines is or who the Mercedes Ladies were, so let's get into them. Let's get to know them a little bit so we can put a face to the name. Sherry Hines is accustomed to having the odds stacked against her. She and her 10 siblings were raised by a single mother in the Bronx. Hines recounts memories of finding eviction notices on their door and being afraid when a mentally ill neighbor fired a GUN in her home when she was only 9 years old. Her quote, "I took to the streets at 14 and discovered hip-hop and developed a sisterhood," Hines told WNYC's Jamie Floyd. "And so we decided to start our own female DJ and rap group. They called the group Mercedes Ladies. Hines said that the influential music producer, Russell Simmons, promised at first to help them make it in the music industry, but eventually decided not to work with them. Hines wanted to confront him about his decision, so she left a club one night in the early 1980s and went to Simmons' office. There, she said, Simmons RAPED'd her. Sherry's quote, "He treated me like I was a piece of garbage," said Hines. Hines, 55, is one of at least 4 women who have come forward to say Simmons RAPED'd them. Several more have accused Simmons of sexual harassment and other offenses. The NYPD has confirmed that it received allegations involving Simmons and that detectives are in the process of reviewing the information. Simmons denied the allegations in a statement to WNYC through his lawyer. Hines wrote about a similar attack by a powerful businessman she calls Ron in her 2008 book, Mercedes Ladies. Hines told WNYC she was afraid to name Simmons for fear of being shut out of the music industry. She is coming forward now, she said, because being silent has been a virus inside of her. Every time a woman comes forward, it helps other women to tell their stories, she said. Her quote, "It's about taking your power back, taking your dignity back," Hines says. "You don't have to suffer in silence anymore." 1988 and 1989. Simmons allegedly assaults both Lisa Kirk and Tony Sally. In an interview in December with the Los Angeles Times, Lisa Kirk alleged that Simmons followed her into a nightclub bathroom circa 1988 and attempted to assault her. "I smashed into the wall," Kirk said. "It tore my clothes." She had previously dated one of Simmons' friends, but she was scared to tell him about the alleged incident. Instead, she hoped to make it go away to keep on trucking. That same month that Kirk came forward, Tony Sally, a journalist who knew Simmons through her work for the magazine Black Radio Exclusive, alleged to the New York Times that Simmons assaulted or acted inappropriately towards her twice during this period. In 1988, Simmons allegedly invited her over to his apartment under the pretense that he was throwing a party and then sexually assaulted her. "He pushed me onto the bed and jumped on top of me and physically attacked me," she claimed, adding that she believed it was RAPE. Sally also alleged that Simmons followed her into a woman's bathroom at a music conference that following year. When she was an employee for Warner Brothers, she managed to escape the room, she says, where he barricaded the door. At this point, there's not many other allegations at that point. I guess, he was kind of quiet for a few years. So let's jump to 1991. So at this point, allegedly 3 women had already came forward before the year of 1991, stating that Russell Simmons allegedly SA'd them. But the year 1991 was a crazy year for Simmons because allegedly he SA'd 4 more women all in the same year. So let's get into that. In a November interview published by the Los Angeles Times, the model Kerry Clausen alleged that Simmons coerced her into performing oral sex on him at his apartment, but she was only 17. While the director Brett Ratner... Quick sidestep. So Kerry was a 17-year-old model that came over to Russell Simmons' apartment where she was invited. Not only was Russell there, but the director, Brett Ratner, was there as well. While there, she comes in and is bombarded by Russell Simmons, who coerced her into giving him oral sex right in front of this director. Now, this girl is a teenager, so none of that should have been happening, and I also feel like she shouldn't have been alone, but it is what it is. So with that happening, it's horrible. But Brett was there, and I don't understand, even to this day, how people will let these celebrities have so much power to where an influence to where they are afraid to do anything or to judge them or to disagree with them, in any type of way. I just will never get how you let someone have that much power over you to where you will allow this man to RAPE this girl right in front of you. type of situation. I don't get the silence within that. I get that you don't want to be shunned from the career, but it does show you how much power these celebrities have over the people around them, especially that worked for them and that are working for them, to where they will allow anything to keep that check coming. If I'm going to lose my dream, lose my career, something that I really, really want, if I'm going to lose it and sacrifice it for something, I feel like that's the time you sacrifice it. I mean, this man is literally assaulting this girl right in front of you and you do nothing. So I get why Brett, probably didn't say anything to protect his career, but still at the same time, like, was it worth it? Is it worth this girl going through pain and turmoil and, trials and tribulations for the rest of her life over something that you could prevent, within this moment, and you do nothing? So that makes me think like, well, Brett, how many other females came over there, and especially were they all of age? Because I mean, this is a 17-year-old, so how many other victims? Because not everybody comes forward. So there's plenty of people out there that probably have had things happen to them by Russell Simmons, even in front of people, and still have not come forward. So I will never get it, but that's a shame. And I just wish these women well. Blessings and positive energy being sent their way, but let's keep going. Like Hines from the music group Mercedes Ladies, Tina B was an inspiring artist. She sang backing vocals on the records by Madonna and Bruce Springsteen, who met Simmons at a nightclub in 1990 or early 1991. Last December, she told the New York Times he invited me back to his apartment to discuss her career. Once she arrived at his apartment, she added, "It got ugly, really ugly, pretty fast," alleging that Simmons overpowered her and RAPED'd her. Now, remember earlier when I was talking about Brett Ratner, I felt as if he allowed that young lady, Carrie, to, get SA'd in front of him, I believe he was doing it with other women as well, because him and Simmons spent a lot of time together. So let's get into this. In 1994, Simmons and Ratner allegedly harassed aspiring model Tanya Reid. In a November interview with the Los Angeles Times, Reid alleged that she encountered Simmons and Ratner at a hotel in Miami where she worked, and they proceeded to call her and verbally harass her. Her quote, "I remember this very, very clearly. The exact words of Russell Simmons said to me on the phone," she recalled. His quote, "He wanted me to come upstairs so Brett could hold me down and he could perform oral SCX." Okay. She also alleged that Ratner later coerced her into performing oral SCX on him. Like I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. And allegedly this incident took place. And then it's not a coincidence with Carrie coming forward stating that, Russell Simmons allegedly RAPED'd her right in front of Ratner, and he did nothing because allegedly he was down with it. He was down with all of that stuff going on because this is what they do. Some people team up and, do it together, and some people do it by their lonesome. So let's keep going. 1994, 1995. Simmons allegedly sexually harasses and RAPEs Drew Dixon. Simmons hired Drew Dixon as an A&R in 1994, and that following year, she was tasked with putting together the soundtrack for The Show, a new hip-hop documentary. The soundtrack debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200 charts and spawned the Method Man and Redman hit How High. Dixon remembers that Simmons offered her a small raise in promotion and a thanks. "I just felt used, demoralized," she told Roroseva. Speaking with the New York Times in December, Dixon alleges that Simmons also repeatedly sexually harassed her at work. "Fighting his explicit advances was exhausting," she said. "It was like making a record while swimming in rough seas." She also alleged that Simmons overpowered her and RAPED'd her at his apartment in 1995. Her quote, "The last thing I remember was him pinning me down to kiss me on the bed," she said. And she told the Times she does not believe she was drugged, but that she blacked out the rest of the experience. So a quick sidestep, that's basically Dixon saying that she don't think she was drugged or anything. She pretty much just kind of blacked out or fainted, or just kind of mentally, it's so traumatic, what happened to her, to where she can't even get herself to remember. because of the trauma that he put her through, the, abuse that was going on. So, that is very horrible. Once again, positive and, energy and blessings being sent to these women. This is crazy. But let's keep going. 1996. Simmons allegedly tries to coerce Natasha Blatch into performing oral sex on him. In a December interview with the Los Angeles Times, actress Natasha Williams Blatch alleged that Simmons attempted to force her into performing oral sex on him after the two attended a yoga class together. Williams, then a freshman at UCLA, said that she escaped the situation because she informed Simmons she had to attend study hall. 2005. Simmons allegedly exposes himself to massage therapist Erin Beatty. Simmons booked Beatty for a massage while staying at the Alexis Hotel in Seattle. The Los Angeles Times reports roughly halfway through the hour-long massage, Beatty alleged that he exposed himself to her. He was like, "Do you want to work this out?" she said. He just expected that was going to happen. He couldn't believe that I would say no. 2014. Simmons allegedly gropes Christina Moore. In a December interview with the New York Times, Moore alleged that Simmons pretended that he was showing her and a friend the way to the bar of the Soho Beach House in Miami, but instead guided them to his apartment. Then Moore alleged that Simmons ran his hands all over my body up and down. I felt assaulted, she added. She and her friend ran away from the room. I would hate to think what would have happened if I were alone, she said. 2016. Simmons allegedly makes inappropriate comments to Amanda Seales and allegedly RAPE's Jennifer Jarosik. In a December interview with the Los Angeles Times, Amanda Seales, known for her role on the HBO hit show Insecure, alleged that Simmons made inappropriate comments to her during what was supposed to be a business meeting at the All Def Digital in 2016. Seales accused Simmons of using vulgar language to ask if they had ever had sex. In January, inspiring filmmaker Jennifer Jarosik alleged that Simmons asked her to meet him at his LA home in 2016 to discuss her career. She alleges that he pounced on her and proceeded to RAPE her. She is suing him for $5 million in damages. Kimora Simmons on Russell Simmons' accusations. Nothing like the person I've known. Simmons' ex-wife breaks her silence after a number of accusers mount. Kimora Simmons has broken her silence on the mounting number of accusations of SA against her ex-husband, Russell Simmons, but fell short of denying them herself. Quote, I add my voice to the chorus of the people speaking out against harassment and violence in its forms, she began on an Instagram post posted on Thursday night. I have known Russell for over 25 years. We were close friends, married, divorced, and have remained friends, co-parents and partners throughout it all, she said. These allegations against him are nothing like the person I've known in all that time. I have known him to be caring and a supportive father and someone who has worked tirelessly to uplift disenfranchised communities. Russell's ex-wife and model, fashion designer, went on to recognize the pivotal moment in which society now sits and where men are being held accountable for their abuse of power and denigrating behavior towards women in all spheres. She said that she believes no one should be ashamed or portrayed as an unreliable witness to their own experience for speaking up, and added, nor should anyone be condemned legally without due process and a fair trial. My sincere hope is that anyone that faced harassment or assault reports it to their organization or law enforcement, though I understand that in many cases this may not be possible, she concluded. I remain committed as always into fighting injustice and equality in all its forms. God bless. So I don't think this is Kimora trying to, seem as if she's not supportive of the victims. I think that she definitely is, and I think that she could be subliminally saying, that I agree with y'all. I have not seen any of this behavior, but it's been told to me throughout the years. So, once again, where there's smoke, there's fire. So, hey, y'all shouldn't be shamed or anything like that, or be an unreliable witness into what happened to you, and you should not be condemned for speaking up. But still, at the same time, I am just a friend of his ex-wife, and I don't know that behavior, but it doesn't mean that it does not exist. So yeah, shout out to Kimora. I feel like that was a fair, statement in what she said. She was not backing Russell, but at the same time, she was not backing the victims. She was basically saying, I'm here for all of y'all. I still have to deal with this person. So, I'm not saying you guys are lying. If you guys are telling the truth, I hope you get the justice that you deserve. But I don't know that behavior, so I can't condemn him either, for something I don't know. So, yeah. So speaking of Russell and, SA, he has done some pretty sketchy things, even protected other men who have committed these certain same, acts against people, even man on man. So if you don't know who Terry Crews is, he is a big actor in Hollywood. He's done White Chicks and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and more. But he was at a party, and at this party that he was at, this Hollywood agent named Adam Vinette, who also is the agent of big-time stars like Adam Sandler and others, Terry Crews felt that he was being SA'd by Adam. And he basically got Adam fired from his job as being a Hollywood agent. So Russell Simmons, out of all people, messages Terry and tells Terry to get him reinstated, basically, because, it's not a big deal. It was not a big deal because that's what you've done to people, Russell. It's not cool when it's happening to you. Like, it's A-okay when other people are doing it, but when it happens to you, then all of a sudden, it's a big deal. So he could care less in how Terry felt, and that Terry felt that he had been SA'd by this man, and he didn't feel like it was fair because he's known to grope other men and do stuff to other men as well, and people just give him passes because he's this Hollywood agent, and Terry wasn't going. So Terry had him fired. So who's the closer, the fixer, the Olivia Pope, if you will? Russell Simmons, coming into Terry's email. So let's get into what Russell said to Terry Crews. Russell Simmons asked actor Terry Crews to give alleged SA a pass. Def Jam co-founder Russell Simmons is currently embroiled in SA allegations. The situation looked worse after Terry Crews shared a recent interaction between the two. Crews, who recently opened up about allegedly being SA'd and assaulted by Hollywood agent Adam Vinette, revealed a shocking email he received from Simmons. On Sunday, November 19th, the star of Fox's Brooklyn Nine-Nine tweeted a screen capture of a short email from Simmons. The email from the former music exec read, "Did he ever apologize, give the agent a pass, and ask that he be reinstated?" Taken aback by the email, Crews informed Simmons via Twitter that no one gets a pass. Simmons has yet to issue a response to Crews and the sharing of the email. He did respond to the SA allegations made by model Carrie Clausen, who was 17 years old at the time of the alleged assault, in the Los Angeles Times original report. His quote, "Everything that occurred between Carrie and me occurred with full consent and participation," he said in a statement. So not only was Russell protecting Adam, he could have cared less about Terry Crews and how Terry Crews felt as a victim of SA. Why are you overlooking your fellow brother? He's always trying to make it seem as if he's for black people and uplifting black people. So you're completely for black people being mistreated and SA'd and, RAPE. Like, you're completely fine with those things, but, when it comes to business-wise, you're there to help the blacks. That makes no sense. And then on top of that, he also wanted Terry to get the man reinstated. Hey, it's no big deal. Did he apologize? Oh, well, just give him a pass. It's all right. It's no big deal. Of course, it's not a big deal to you because these are things that you do. These are crimes that you commit. These are boundaries that you bypass all the time with or without consent. it's not okay. And like Terry said, nobody gets a pass. So no, he's just like, I wouldn't give you a pass, Russell, if you did that to me. I'm not giving Adam a pass either. And if you also heard with Russell's statement, he stated that what happened between him and Carrie Clausen, the 17-year-old model, he stated that that was all consensual, overlooking the fact that she was still 17 years old. So not only was he saying that that was what we both wanted, he was also saying that, yeah, I hook up with teenagers. I hook up with 17-year-olds. If you hook up with somebody 17, to me, in my opinion, you hook up with a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, even a 14-year-old. I mean, age ain't nothing but a number to people like them, and it matters, but apparently not. So Russell has assaulted allegedly more women, and we will get into those women in part 2, but there's also men that are going to be on the docket as well. There's a lot of allegations about Russell Simmons, and we're going to get into them all. So I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. I love you all. I'll see you all in part 2. Until the next video, bye.
Tá muito café,